Yo, 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 Fake Radio, episode 9. We got a special guest here. Introduce yourself.
What's going on, everybody? My name's Ian Jacobson.
Ian Jacobson. It's the holidays episode that's coming out. If you're listening to this, that you are deep in the holidays, whatever you celebrate. You're Jewish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
This is the Hanukkah episode.
To everyone.
Yeah. Or it's Christmas coming up soon too. So got Ian Jake, great musician over here. So you grew up like in LA, right? Like
yeah, in Mid City,
right? Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what was that like growing up in? Because I just moved here. How has it been living here your whole life?
It's an area specifically where I live and grew up. It's an area I didn't really come to appreciate a ton until I was back from college. Yeah. When I was like, oh wow, this is a fucking great place to be as an adult, especially like where you might, neighborhood wise end up in LA, post college or whatever. So, I mean, it's a really interesting area. It's kind of on this border between different parts of LA. That
For sure.
I went to high school in the Valley, so it was going north, most of the time, and hardly friends were, ever coming as far south as going like south of Pico or anything. Yeah. But, I was definitely close enough to a lot of cool hustle and bustle. Like I had friends that lived, on or near like the Sunset Strip. Yep. So that was, a whole scene to get to spend time at even at a young age. And it's something I also didn't really realize until I got to college, that it was such a privilege to be growing up in a place that had so much going on artistically.
No, for sure. I noticed a lot of people, because went to Emerson, there were a lot of LA kids who were like at Emerson. They were always like, whoa, like snow, rain, like the leaves are changing, like this is amazing, this is like a dreamlet, like this is incredible. And then like I talk to them now if they move back, and I'm like, think you're going anywhere else? They're like, absolutely not, I'm so happy to be back. I'm like, damn, okay.
Yeah, I have some homies from college that's exactly the same way. Like we hardly got through the winter together in Connecticut, and they're like, never again. Yeah,
I love the East Coast. I'm forever East Coast, but like I'm scared. I'm sad going back to the cold. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're spoiled. Another big disillusionment heading to college. It's like, oh man.
Yeah, because you went to college to Wesleyan, so that's like
in Connecticut. Yeah, so Connecticut. Super, super the most different you can imagine. Yeah, the winter's ridiculous
for sure. Especially because like the suburbs, so they don't shovel or like.
Well, the people at Wesleyan were actually really good about keeping like paths clear and stuff, but like people would still eat shit on the stairs and stuff. Yeah, and, things would get icy.
For sure. Yeah. So what was young Ian like? What music were we listening to? Playing in the household,
Yeah, I definitely grew up on a ton of like mostly sort of British invasion stuff.
Okay.
Beatles, Stones, Kinks, and that's 100% just from my dad being a music head from a young age himself, and so that was just everywhere around the house from a very young age. There was music playing all the time, guitars everywhere. Like all of our home videos are like me and my brother like making songs up and like with toy guitars and stuff. Yeah. So like those are so fun to look back on, and like we're my dad is like showing us stuff, and like just actually lately we found pictures of him with his dad like doing the same thing from like such a young age. So it's been really nice to kind of look back on lately. But that was a huge thing. I think me and my brother both took a very early interest in music that like whether or not we were ever really focused on that in like our childhood, at like one point or another we still were like, it was a topic we would always kind of talk about and were comfortable with, and like I felt like we were, looking back, we were pretty versed in at least that kind of music from a young age. And then I was just bouncing around on a lot, like I started piano lessons when I was super. I was like 4 or something.
Right. Yeah.
And that was because my brother started lessons and he was older, but I, just being a little kid who liked music, was, I guess, like, I was just like watching them the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do this as well.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I don't know. It was something that definitely fascinated me from a really young age. And then, yeah, I started playing in bands pretty young, like around maybe age like 9, and still the kind of music I knew was mostly that British invasion stuff, or stuff that is like heavily influenced, by that.
Yeah.
Sort of like the lineage from that sense. And yeah, my musical world did not really open up a ton until like middle school-ish, when I was started playing in a jazz band and the orchestra, and everything just blew wide open for me. And like I was in like, I don't know, like 12, 13, and I wanted to know, I had been writing music and stuff, but I wanted it to not just be like, I guess I wanted it to be like cool of the time. Like I wanted to make, like modern sounding kind of indie music. So I was kind of venturing out into different avenues, kind of looking for my own musical taste. And I was at this new school and met new people that all seemed really like hip and new about music. So that was a time where I was just absorbing like a ton of shit. And yeah, like I got to say that middle school / high school I went to, there were a lot of great opportunities to really absorb a lot of music stuff and just kind of stretch my legs with jazz, classical, weird experimental stuff, any kind of rock or indie or whatever thing students might put together. There were constantly opportunities to perform for people. So like, yeah, that's when stuff opened up a lot for me musically. But yeah, I was really just focused on being in a band and being like a songwriter for a while until I was like 14-ish, and then I went to like a music intensive program, and then I was like, oh, I think I want to take guitar kind of seriously. And so that's when like that became more of a very deliberate kind of pointed study of that, where I really felt like I was gonna I felt like I had like a voice in songwriting at that point. That I wasn't like, like spending a ton of time cultivating, but just having done it enough, there was, you could tell there was sort of just like this emergent, like, there was a certain quality to my songwriting that I felt was very, personal to me. And I was like, I wanted to find that on guitar, something similar on guitar. I was like, this feels like a very transparent kind of, projection of my voice. I can like make a statement here and just kind of like have access kind of from the heart there. Just make that a really transparent kind of process if I can through guitar. Yeah,
that's cool. And then did you study like music at Wesleyan or?
Yes, I did study a lot of music at Wesleyan, but I didn't go down the music major path. I was a psychology major. But like all my extracurriculars pretty much were music classes. Sometimes it was just because like I knew, I was like, let me throw an easy music class in the mix, and like for a semester, I'll be like, all right, I'll just enjoy this, and it won't be too stressful. But there were also some fantastic classes I did get to take. Like I got to study for many semesters West African drumming.
Oh, that's sick.
Which is like the coolest stuff, and it's something that I actually was lucky enough to get to have some exposure to even earlier. Because just for whatever reason, I was doing programs where certain teachers really knew about that kind of stuff, and like that's what they wanted to impress on us. And it's a great way for like at that point I had a certain amount of theory training, and it's all just a very kind of westernized framework. So to really spend a lot of time with something that is so from the jump a very different kind of beast.
That's sick.
Is really cool. I think it's great that Wesleyan exposes so many musicians to that.
That's dope.
And there was like a kind of like an African pop group that I got to play in.
That's so cool.
Like that was awesome. The coolest thing for sure was there's a this big student organized like student run burlesque show at Wesleyan.
Okay.
It's like huge.
Yeah.
100 dancers or something.
Wow.
And it's basically just like group after group that just they've choreographed some sort of burlesque-y vibe dance to whatever song they want.
Yeah.
And it might be a mashup of songs, whatever. It could be like really sort of like campy burlesque vibe, or literally anything in terms of song choice. And I was very lucky to be asked to be the guitar player my freshman year for the live band.
Yeah.
And then I eventually got to be the music director for that band a few years.
Sick.
But so these, the choreographers would pick, it might be like, we're going to do this like Lauryn Hill track, just literally looking at your computer. Like, we're going to go from this, but then it's got a mashup with like a Donna Summer thing.
That's cool.
But then it's going to fucking, some other group might be like, okay, it's going to be like a few bars of this like High School Musical track, and then it's going to this like Justin Timberlake. Like, cool. It could be absolutely anything.
Yeah.
So it was such a fun challenge to get to translate that into like live band terms.
I love stuff like that. Yeah.
It was so great.
No, for sure.
Like a lot of it was not too far off from what you might see in like a Tiny Desk sort of thing, where you might see, there's this sort of translation of a song into like a more intimate kind of personal thing. Or sometimes it's just about like, let's get this as fucking close as we can. Yeah. Because like if there's something super iconic, like we did Buy You a Drink once, and it's like the second that so distinctive synth comes in, like people go crazy. So it's like if we're hitting nostalgia points, like that was a great thing. That was just like so purely for fun. Like, let's get people so excited in support of this fun kind of like body positive thing.
Yeah. And also at Wesleyan, you met my cousin.
Yes.
My cousin,
who I never got to know well enough.
Yeah. Shout out Henry Lynn David.
Shout out.
He's gonna see that we did it, and he's gonna be like, "Is that who I think it is?" And then we're gonna mention Wesleyan. He's gonna be like, "Oh, that's exactly who I think." Yeah, man.
Cardinals, the family runs deep.
Shout out from Milton, Massachusetts. Yeah, that's where. Yeah. That's where he's from. Yeah.
My mother's from Massachusetts.
Where in Massachusetts?
She doesn't talk about her past too much.
Oh, okay.
It's like kind of on that level.
I know everything. I know every small. People are like, I know people from Ware, Massachusetts. Yeah. Yeah. That's like small.
I feel like I heard Admir talking about that.
Yeah, he was talking about that. And he was like, does anyone know what Ware? And
Where is Ware?
I actually do know what Ware. I know people from there.
I know she went to Fitchburg for a minute.
She went to Fitchburg State University. That is where I went.
No way.
And then I transferred to Emerson.
Yeah, so did she.
And then she transferred to Emerson?
Not to Emerson. No. She moved to San Francisco. But I know she went to Fitchburg for a minute
Fitchburg
and was
State
like,
University.
I gotta get out of here.
Shout out Fitchburg State Falcons. I was there. Yeah. I was on the like radio over there. I was on FM, and then I went to Emerson, and then I tried to do WERS, and they were like, nah, bro. Damn. So then that's good though, because then we started the podcast Freeform.
Word.
Yeah.
How was the radio like at Emerson?
That's like, I think I could diss it. Yeah, let me diss it. No, it's like, it's one of the most popular student radio stations in the country, WERS. But I grew up listening to it because they had this show, The Playground, which was like all kids music, and my parents, they're like super musical, so they were like really into like, we gotta put this kid on to the kid artists.
Hell yeah.
So they're playing Justin Roberts
was huge for me.
Yeah.
I met my oldest friend. I met him at a Justin Roberts show at McCabe's guitar
Justin
shop.
Roberts show. There we go. Yeah, and that's the only one I can remember because my dad still will like listen to it. He's like, I gotta listen to this Justin Roberts album. I'm like, dude, like, I'm 23, bro. Like, but so then they had the playground, and then they also had all acapella, which was just acapella groups. And then they still have this show called Standing Room Only, which is just show tunes. They still have that, but then other than that, it's just like an alternative. It's like AAA music, which is like alternative stuff. Yeah. And then my dad, they recently took away the playground and took away all acapella, which is what, mind you, that's like what I grew up listening to, because they were like back to back too, like every Saturday. Damn. And they took it away, and my dad wrote like an email being like, yo, why the fuck did you take off these amazing shows? Like now, like without those shows, it's just a dumbed down version of Stuart Jackson Radio on Apple Music. Like bring those shows back, and like they never responded because they probably looked at him and they're like, this guy does not give any money.
Or they were intimidated. Or like, this guy means...
Yeah, they were really scared. They were really scared of that guy. Yeah, but... Yeah, and there's like rarely any student DJs on the show. It's always...
Like, that's too bad.
It's always like this one guy who I've heard of.
Word.
But, yeah.
So it's like serious.
Yeah, it's that's like very serious.
Damn.
Yeah, it's like a little too serious to like I grew up listening to it, so like it was like I auditioned to be they liked my application, so then I auditioned to be part of it, and I'm gonna be real with you, I choked up. Like that was that was like right when I was like starting Emerson.
Okay.
And I was just like I was setting up my dorm, meeting new people, and I was just like too nervous, and then
dude, that's enough to deal with, and also it sounds like the pressure's on for this.
So I they like wanted me to record a thing, and I was also like, because I knew I got paid, and I pulled up. This is what got me. Because I knew I got paid, so I was like, okay, this is like a job interview. But then I like pulled up wearing like shorts and like which I think was not a problem.
Yeah, it's radio. People aren't seeing you.
But I pulled up wearing, and I was like, fuck, they're gonna hate that I'm like dressed like an idiot right now. Like, dude, and I don't know why, but that killed the whole thing. But it's chill because it was like good because I didn't know anyone at Emerson, and I did want to start doing more like fun interview stuff. So definitely worked out, but it was like it was interesting. But then Fitchburg, I did hip hop rate. I was the only hip hop guy. I had to bleep out the swears. I had to like
no way
because like I was playing like the deep cuts, you know, the clean version. So like I had to like time it out, and then like
that's so funny.
We did it, man. We did. It was popping over there. But yeah, Fitchburg State. Shout out. Yeah, no. So she lived around Fitchburg, your mom?
Like, I wish I knew more. I wish I had more to tell you about this.
Leominster,
it's real, like, it's a
Mount Wachusett. You go skiing. I don't know, man.
I don't know. But I know she was at Fitchburg and hated it, and then got
She hated it. Yeah, it's like I don't hate it, but like I feel like I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it. But like I've mentioned it on the show before. I left just because I knew I wanted something else that they weren't going to give me, but it's like a cool. I recommend it.
Yeah, and she was also just trying to like get out of Massachusetts.
No, yeah. If you want to get out of Massachusetts, Fitchburg State is not the place to be. That is 100% why I transferred. Is because that's not.
Yeah. And she went to San Francisco, so I think a very different vibe was on her mind.
Exactly. Yeah. No, for sure. So you're like audio engineering stuff, right? You work at a studio.
Not anymore, but I did. Right. Yeah, a lot of back-to-back jobs for me were studio stuff.
For sure. And you just picked up audio engineering from just music school doing.
It was something that I was first exposed to when I was like recording with bands pretty young.
Right.
And that's when I was like, oh man, there's a whole world that I've absolutely no knowledge of how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
And so then it was just like on my radar for a long time. I knew I just had this big what felt like a gap in my knowledge that I really wanted to fill, because also like music was art, moving in the direction of like bands were what am I trying to say? I think it's even more so now really true that like playing shows was not necessarily the best way to get yourself the most exposure.
Yeah.
And like I guess I'm talking about like 2013, 14-ish, I guess, where it's like, influencers weren't like influencers yet, but still, if you wanted to reach thousands of people when you're not necessarily already on the scale of like filling a large room to play live, it was kind of the thing to do. So and I felt like I really only knew about live stuff, like playing live and writing for live stuff and arranging for live. So like definitely by the end of high school I was like, man, I really want to be making my own stuff, and this is really kind of the gap. So heading into college I was like, I want to learn more about this. There was sound design and like audio engineering class I took, and that was really great, and I wanted to like pursue that further, but it was like kind of the only thing you could do to really do in-depth study at Wesleyan. But there was like a student recording studio that I would like volunteer at to engineer for other people, so that's how I was trying to just kind of like get familiar with things. And I was doing internships at other studios, you know, whenever I was back in LA. Trying to think what other times it would have been really. Well, also I was also finding out at the time how much certain kind of heroes of mine in the music, you know, certain favorite artists of mine were actually doing more work behind the scenes than I realized. Many of them were like, oh man, this artist is actually fantastic producer or sound engineer or you know, etc. Their skills, you know, extend to those parts of the process. And it seemed to be a way that they were actually working on music and doing cool stuff, you know, more often than you might have the opportunity to just do your own, you know, stuff. So it seemed like that was a cool way that I could like be involved with music constantly when I'm not, and not just necessarily like selling myself as an artist. Like I'd still have proximity to that kind of thing, be around the stuff I'm interested in.
And you dropped the EP in 2019, Instant Jitters.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. What made you decide then to drop the EP? Why is it called Instant Jitters? Yeah, tell me everything. I'm trying to think of what song was the first one. Like there were a couple of them were singles that I had already dropped. There was definitely Dizzy was out as a single. What else was out as a single? There was at least one more. I think that there were two. Oh, maybe Teetering. Oh Dear.
Oh Dear was the one that I was like, when I was releasing the whole thing, I was like, this is gonna be the single of that project.
Okay.
I was like, that's gonna, as a package, Oh Dear will like lead it.
Yeah.
But a lot of those songs were songs that I was playing with my band in college. Okay. So that's when I felt like I had sort of the body of work that I could like kind of be like, these feel. Like the album's, I mean, the EP is like a little all over the place, like aesthetically, but I was like, these songs all feel personal, like personal enough to me that I would feel good about putting them out and that being like a, you know, entity with my name on it. So, but the whole thing was a DIY like bedroom, you know, like laptop project. You know, that was 100%. Just like me laying down one layer at a time and, you know, mixing all of it, really trying to engineer myself for the first time. Like looking back, there are like so many things that were done terribly, but I think they, you know, there's charm in that like it also was kind of a, you know, a thumbprint of like where I was with those skills as well, which is fun to look back on. But yeah, I think at a certain point I was like, I have like 2 or 3 songs that are done, and a few like done in terms of being like recorded and like were either put out or ready to put out, and I think I just felt like I had enough to do with itself materialized, like that I could put out something bigger that like felt like a cohesive thing, and I hadn't put out anything even with a group for years and years. So it was. Also, I think that I was hungry to kind of take on like a project. And so like, and especially once that came out, then it was like a really clear and fun like chat. Like it was clear that the challenge was going to be, and it was going to be really fun too, was making all those things that were happening and like were maybe born on the, you know, in Logic while I was during the recording process, making that all happen live, with the band at school.
At school. And were you like the pop-in like artist at Wesleyan?
There were people that liked us and would pop out for sure, you know. I think we were definitely we put on a fun show for sure. Like our music was dancey enough that like, you know, even if you're like even if it's not your thing, like if you're there, you're probably drunken with friends, and it's like you're gonna dance a little, and have a good time. Sure. You know what I mean? But also I was really touched that some people were like, would sometimes approach me after and be like, I really enjoy the writing. Because like those artists, you know, those parties aren't necessarily when you're thinking like, how am I gonna like, you know, be a good show right now? Necessarily like, who am I gonna connect with super deeply right now? But yeah, it was cool, and there was definitely this wave before COVID of bands happening, and we were like in the mix of a lot of like guitar bands. And then it was super interesting that after COVID, it felt like when we were back after lockdown, the first semester we were back, it felt like all the bands had disappeared, and it was just solo artists. Everything was kind of like that Tiny Desk thing where you would have an artist who was a solo artist, and if you're gonna do a live show, you assemble, you know, this little backing band behind you. So, I mean, it was funny how the scene changed, and I think we definitely fit more into the how things were, I guess, before we left for COVID a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you know, I think we put on a fun show, and we had a really fucking good time. For sure.
Man, no, that's dope. Yeah, and it's, you know, and you wrote all the songs, right? Like you.
Yeah, that was how, like, I didn't intend for it to be like my band per se. We were someone else, you know, kind of assembled the group. They were like my other band was booked to play this show, but we can't do it. Okay. Could we put together a little thing? Cool. And then we were like, what should we play? And I was like, I got songs. Oh, there we go. So then we just kind of kept going, and because I just kind of had the material ready. Yeah. That's kind of, you know, what led things.
Word. And recording new music. I know we got the Don't Look music video coming out soon.
It's looking amazing.
It's looking really good.
I can't believe how talented they are.
No, it's amazing.
Everyone I show like any bit of it, they're like, did this cost $1 million? No, for real. And I'm like they cannot believe the production value.
No, exactly. Anytime Don't Look is gonna blow up.
I seriously believe that.
No, yeah,
you know, 100%.
No, it's amazing.
When I saw their website, like there was someone else I was probably gonna work with. Well, I was thinking about working with both. You know, Devin Jack and this other person were both like mutual friends to me. Cool. At the time. Yeah. And I was reaching out to them mostly just to find out like rates and have a conversation about like what they might think of where my, you know, the project was at in my head, like just in terms of like ideas. But then when I got to see, and I was mostly looking at people's like Instagrams and stuff, but then when I actually got to see the Don't Look website, I was like, this is insanity. How good this is.
Shout out Jack and Dave. They put in a lot of work into that website. Yeah.
And a lot of those videos, you know, the music is not, a lot of it's so different from mine. Yeah. But you could tell the quality was so. It's like my video would be nothing like this, but they know what they're doing.
No, they know exactly. Yeah. No, they're killing it, man. Shout out, Don't Look, you know. And you know, you went to Death Valley to do that. Have you been to Death Valley before?
I've been to Death Valley before once, on a high school trip. With a photo class, but it was like the most bullshit. Like it was the most ridiculous. Everyone had like a photo, like quote unquote project, but no, like we didn't learn shit about photography in that class. But we got to go to Death Valley and go to all these crazy spots.
That's cool. Yeah. But now you were camping out.
Yeah, that was funny, man. Like I'm so not the camping type.
I normally like to do I have scoliosis. I normally like to be on the shoots and be present, you know, because they're my people, the roommates, you know. Don't Look, you know, it's the whole crew. But I have scoliosis, so like I was like, yo, can I come to this one? They're like, nah, bro, you can't climb up these.
It was kind of labor intensive, for sure. No. But for so many things, like we would have been so fucked if Jack wasn't so like outdoorsy.
No, he like, when I film with him, I'm like, we're always like going to some like super specific rock that's like super hard to get to. And I'm like, Jack, we just got here and you've never been here. Like, I actually ran around real quick and like, this is the spot I like. I'm like, it is perfect, but like, you just like the things you make me do to.
No, for real. He's a madman.
No, he's.
But they always get it done. There was so much stuff that sounded so ambitious. Like especially when we had the first talk about like what the treatment was looking like. I was like, if this happens the way you guys are describing it to me, like I just can't believe this was not what I was expecting by any means. And then
they do it quick too.
Yeah, efficient. I mean, we did like 7 or something days of shooting, which is a lot of shooting.
Yeah.
But there's so much happening in the video, and there's so many locations.
Yeah.
But like relatively for what we ended up capturing, we did it really efficiently.
Yeah. And the video is dropping with your new single, right?
Yes. Yeah. Right on time.
Does that come with an album coming soon?
So there's another EP in the works, basically.
Okay.
The songs are all written. They're in various stages of like being recorded. Right on time has been the focus for a while, and I've been very lucky that just like while I was working on that song, I got to collaborate with people that were like incredibly studio savvy and creative, and like so a lot of other people's talent also got to go into that one. So that one's been, baked more than anything for a while.
Yeah.
But they're follow-up songs that I'm really excited about too. They just need a little more,
cool.
time in the studio.
There we go. When's the video dropping? When's the EP?
Dude. I want it to be really soon. I want it to be either by the end of January, or like mid-February.
Cool.
Like I had this quote unquote meeting with a friend who's a social media manager for a high profile interior designer, and my cousin who's a great musician, songwriter, Josh Pollock. Check him out. He's also just fantastic. He's very like marketing savvy. So they both like basically were able to give me a lot of tips about marketing, and they were like, "You guys still have so much to do." Basically, and I was like, "Fuck me." There's all this like album art and like a promotional photo shoot and like a Canvas thing for Spotify, and like there's just. I wish I was motivated by that end of things.
Yeah, no, I heard because like SZA just dropped. I love one of my favorite albums, but like she's like there's so many videos of her just like freaking the fuck out because it's like I got to do this, I got to do that. Like I just want to put this stuff out. Like it's because if you really want to like do it like right, you gotta like do all that stuff. Right,
It's so true, and that's the stuff that my cousin is so good at. So just like observing him do the process is pretty great. But that's the other thing is that like it's gonna take time for the whole like there is an EP in the works, but when the whole thing drops, because I'm talking to people and they're like the strategy is drop the first song and then there's a video that should come out not too long after that'll keep their attention, but you gotta have the next one ready to go, but then you put it out like 6 months later and you keep their attention. It's like it's so strategic that it is it's frustrating, man.
And so who are you like currently bumping right now? Like who are your main like as a musician, a little musician, like who are your like main influences? Who are you fucking with?
Main influences? I'd say things that are always heavy on my mind are Blake Mills is a songwriter, guitar. I mean, he does everything, but unbelievable guitar player. Like truly. There's no way I'm gonna be able to like do any service to his skill. He's unbelievable. To describing his skill, like he is such a versatile kind of virtuoso, and he just played with Joni Mitchell. Like when she did that crazy, when she did that concert recently, he was like called up to.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah, he's absurd.
There we go. Yeah.
So anyway, his I stole a lot of guitar shit from him. Like he influenced my guitar voice from and has been for a while. So that definitely seeps into music a lot. Unknown Mortal Orchestra is a band I've really liked for like since like 2015 or something. Like I've just been like just listening to them like I just thought their music is so like accessible and catchy, but also so quirky and like things you're not gonna find elsewhere, like paired together really well.
I got put onto them recently because they did the song with Amine, so then I was like
totally like they're all like they collaborate with different kinds of artists so well.
No, for sure,
super fascinating group. yeah, definitely there was a lot of influence on the last EP with that.
Cool. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Especially what's the one? No, Dizzy for sure.
Yeah,
there's there's that kind of a vibe in there. And also I'll use I'll sing falsetto sometimes, and that was kind of something that I think from Ruben Nilsson of Unimmortal Orchestra. I was like, oh man, that's a really sick way to use this in rock music that I hadn't really thought about before much. But recently, I'm back in a big Strokes phase, a big Julian Casablancas phase. And what else? Parcels is a group I've been really into lately.
I feel like I've heard of them. Yeah.
They're an Australian sort of kind of disco-y sort of synth pop thing, but they're so good.
Cool. And I see you perform sometimes. Do you do house shows, or do you do what?
Not really in LA. What I've been doing lately is just hired gun guitar work for other people. I still am trying to figure out how to do a proper arrangement of the music I'm putting out now live, and it's gonna take a band, like a 5-person band at least. So that's coming together. But I have been playing doing these shows lately, just playing guitar for people, which has been a lot of fun. And that'll be at bars, clubs, whatever.
For sure. And so while you were working at the studio, I heard you were with Rico Nasty, with Lucky. I've heard a lot of Dev and Jack say you got a lot of crazy stories. What's your craziest story that you can say on air?
Yeah, let me think about that. I mean, it was really funny that people were coming through a lot, even if I wasn't necessarily working with them. Lucky was someone I actually was my shift was working on that room.
The first time I met you, you were telling me about
right. I think it had happened not too long ago.
Oh really?
And it was
it's crazy too, because then his album dropped, and it's one of my favorite albums of the year.
Oh yeah, man! Shout out True Sound if that is what they were recording that night. I don't know what happened to that session.
True. Is that one? That new album is so many songs.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Is there someone else that was on the?
I'm trying.
Someone else that works on that owns that studio though did some work on the last Amine project.
Amine.
Yeah.
Word.
And yeah, Rico Nasty. I was just I wasn't there that day, but I saw it on the schedule, and I was it was funny because I was working there when COVID was still very real, and just business was slow. So when that popped on the schedule, I was
Nightmare
Jesus
sessions,
Christ.
or was this what's Las Ruinas sessions? What? I think those are her two last albums.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Two during
because I wasn't there those days, so I don't know what those sessions actually were. I mean, there were just really funny days where the guy who owns the studio has really close relationships with Atlantic, so they'd send and Motown and Capitol, so those artists would come through. And it was a lot of just setting stuff up for these really young rappers who probably just got signed, haven't really dropped anything yet. They've been kind of plucked out as this could be the next thing.
Did Ian Triplin ever come through?
No, I don't know that name. Well, maybe. But
I love Ian Triplin. That's my favorite dude.
But fuck, I'm trying to remember the really funny name. There's this guy, Girls Love Dev.
Oh yeah, I know.
So I was there.
I was talking to Dev. I was I just discovered this guy named Girls Love Dev.
That's so
Dev
funny.
Was that's me, dude. I was is it? I don't think so. Dude.
So one night I was just I was just doing reception, right? So I was running for him. So it's kind of inherently funny to just see how this dude who's a blowing up, rock star in the rap world, spends his time with the studio, full show up with a fucking turkey bag full of weed and homies, and it's sick. It's just a lot of fun.
Shout out Girls Love Dev.
Yeah, man, he's the man. Super nice dude.
Really? Okay, good.
Yeah, he was totally sweet. I mean, it's funny is that sometimes people would be fucking assholes. Sometimes people would be so nice.
Nah, that's cool. Where, nah, I've heard many crazy studio stories.
Yeah.
Love.
Oh, a good one.
It was good.
So someone came. I think True. No. True was not engineering that night. Who was it? Sway Royal. Shout out Sway Royal, really talented engineer. There was this woman who came in with her son, and seemed very mild-mannered, like middle-aged woman. Wasn't sure why people, like, there was kind of a cloudy air around her, though. Wasn't really sure what that was about. And she came in, and the session started, and she was recording an audiobook. And I was like, all right, this is interesting. This has never happened before. Like, this is, the studio where, like, the artists we were talking about would show up.
Right.
And so I was like, this is very strange. And then our son is there, and they asked me if I can order their son a boba drink or whatever. And I'm like, all right, this is getting weirder and weirder, or whatever. Then I found out that the boy is Usher Jr.
Oh.
and the woman is, Usher Jr.'s mom. Maybe
so Usher's
I don't know whether or not that's the case. Yeah, it was at the very least a baby mama of Usher.
Okay.
And so I was getting this boba drink for Usher Jr.
Usher's
and like we did it from my phone because like they didn't have whatever app or whatever, so I like handed it my phone. I was like, whatever. I ordered like the most expensive boba drink. It was like a $15 drink.
How old was Usher's kid?
This kid was probably like 11. A year ago.
Okay.
And so, I get him, like, this $15 thing. His mom never pays me back. So I just bought this kid, like, this super expensive drink.
Brody.
And then he also used the shower at the studio, which I'd never seen ever.
Hello.
And I was like, man, this kid...
Why is he showering at the studio?
Dude, it was... I was like, I did not think that shower was for showering. Like that.
I've never even heard of a shower at the studio before, but apparently Usher's son is utilizing...
Yeah, so that was interesting.
Sanitary services.
I was like, it seems like this kid spends too much time at studios. He's a little too comfortable.
I didn't even know Usher's son made music.
I mean, it was so funny, but his mom straight up knocked an audiobook out in a night. And then Sway left, the engineer, and she was like, this is a file that's like 4 hours long, so it's gonna be bouncing to finish up for like another hour. Can you just like, I'm leaving, can you keep an eye on it? I was like, yeah, I'm on it.
Usher, you gotta be promoting your son more.
Come on, man.
He's taking showers in the studio.
He's definitely a fresh kid, but the Usher estate owns me like $15.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, you owe Ian Jacobson $15.
Yeah.
All right, so we got this game on the show, the collab game. So choose one artist who you know that you want to collab with, like call him out, and then one artist that you don't know that you would just love to work with.
An artist I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, that I like personally.
Yeah, like one that you personally.
Oh
know.
yeah, okay, cool.
You, like don't know.
Yeah, an artist that I know that I would love to collaborate with more is current artist's name is Goblin.
Okay.
Person's name is Molly Kirschenbaum.
Okay.
Fantastic artist, really incredible songwriter, performer. Also has done some producing. Just a serious, like, artistic, creative powerhouse, and makes such interesting stuff. And I've worked with them a lot. We're close friends. Molly's a close friend of mine, and I'm playing with them soon, which I'm so excited for.
Shout out.
And there's an album on the way. Look out for album Hot by Goblin.
There we go.
But yeah, I've been playing with Molly through like 3 different projects now of theirs, and every time it's so exciting just to see where they go creatively. Like there's been really kind of stripped down, really intimate, like acoustic voice things, and then also some of the most like high production value, crazy, experimental. Like there's straight up hyper pop at this next show we're playing. It is all over the place, and it's so exciting, and it's a very kind of it's not a conceptual album, but there's a real sort of kind of thesis to the piece. Like it's it's really amazing. I feel like I don't see a lot of artists doing that kind of like really thoughtful, large body of work thing, and I love collaborating with Molly. Like there are other artists I'll play with, and I feel like you kind of have to do a little bit of like shape shifting to kind of meet them halfway to find where you're going to be compatible. I feel like when I'm working with Molly, I just never really have to do that. Like, I think, I don't know if we're just like compatible in that way artistically, but like I find that usually like I don't have to pass it through any filter. Yeah. And it works really well. So yeah, love working with Molly. Right. I think collaborate with someone I didn't know. Let's see. Yeah, maybe Ruben Nilsson of Unimmortal Orchestra. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like he's just always pushing interesting, like cutting edge rock mixed with pop stuff. Yeah. Like, it always feels... There's usually a retro element to it that, like, you know, feels kind of, you know, familiar, but it also feels, like, cutting edge to me always. Like, there's always something innovating happening. Yeah. It seems exciting. I'd love to see his process.
Word. Fire. And then... Yeah, I think last question real quick. What's your final message to the people? What you want to say?
Final message to the people is care about brands a little less. Care about I was gonna say content a little more, but you know, say, you know, I especially now I come across so many artists that are just so brand focused, and it's crazy how sometimes the music is almost like an afterthought. That's true. And I think at this point it's almost really easy to pick out who's coming to it with a super authentic, you know, mindset. So I'd say help those people out, you know, like support their music, you know.
That's good advice.
The brand people are going to find their way into stardom one day or the other.
Sure, man. Yeah. Well, there we go. New music video coming soon. What's the song title again?
Right on Time.
Right on Time. Coming out soon. Ian Jacobson, thank you for coming through.
Thank you for having me, man. This is great.
DJ Rex Kills. Easy. Out.